sword. Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace, but a sword. He talks about it. Do not suppose that it's in Matthew 10:34 and other scriptures. You find it in case there are those of you who need a scriptural reference who may not think that I'm into the Bible per se. He said, don't think that I come to bring peace but a sword. And he talks about there being issues in the family. He talks about enemies being in your own house. A prophet is not with honor in his own country or his own house. He could go out everywhere else and find honor, but he won't find honor in his hometown. And we could look at it as being ministers and your people know who you are, so they don't want to come to hear you preach. And then when you go somewhere else, you're incredible. But when you come to your own place, nobody want to hear you preach because they remember where you went to school. Or they wiped you behind when you were younger. They changed your diapers. And don't let them change your diapers. And don't let them see your drawers. Because once they see your drawers, it's going to stick with them forever. It depends on how dirty the drawers are. It's going to stick with them forever. I don't care how great you speak. Them drawers going to shut it down for you. And so it's not about that. Those are things that happen, but it's not about that. But when you actually believe, when you actually become one with your beliefs, it has a way of shifting something in your mind. The first thing that happens when transformation comes or when a shift in consciousness comes, it realigns your brain. It shifts your brain signals. It just don't make you just holy. It shifts the way you perceive, and it shifts the way you see yourself and the way you perceive life. And it can make you smarter. It can make you smarter, actually. It transforms and it renews your mind, not just the religion of your mind, but it renews everything that your mind is attached to. It renews, it redoes, it reorganizes everything that you know. It reorganizes everything that you believe and see. This doesn't shift the way you believe at church. It causes you to look at a lot of pertinent things in your life, and it realigns you and recalibrates you. And there's a repercussion with shifting, because there are people who have built their life and their energy on old energy that you had. And once your energy shifts, it realigns them and nobody told them. And it causes an issue with the family or with yourself or with your relationships or with your friends. And it's funny because it's not a matter that you go to church and the people who are in sin don't like you. Because sometimes there was a song that we used to sing a long time ago in the Church of God in Christ. My friends walking in the light, the beautiful light. And then it would say, my friends don't like me. They won't let me in. They won't let me in because I'm free from sin. Why should I fear, since thou art near? Thou carriest, Lord, for me. And they would say, walking in the light. And they would sing that. And it's that part I remember. My friends don't like me. They won't let me in. They won't let me in because I'm free from sin. Why should I fear when thou art near? Thou carriest, Lord, for me. I used to like that song. But it's not a matter of people in sin not liking you. Sometimes when there's a shift, when you really not just believe for your ministry, but when what you believe has shifted how you perceive. See, there is a depth of belief. It's not a matter of just having Christian faith for the service, but there is a shift that goes on and it changes your persona. It changes what you are, and it can bring wisdom to you and power to you. And other people may not have experienced it, so it causes a sword. Jesus said, Matthew 10:34, do not suppose that I've come to bring peace, but I brought a sword. I didn't bring peace. And when that belief and when that shift comes, it creates a sword of animosity. And not just in your family and relationships, but also in your own way of perceiving who you've been, because you're accustomed to certain weakness or certain excuses in your life, and all of a sudden your life shifts away from needing that, and it recalibrates you. And there will be repercussions because of that belief. It's not just that you go to church now, But it's because now you're going farther than you've ever gone before. And it's exposing the limitations and the reach of the relationships that you had all around you in your life. Hopefully you guys can see me, because it's weather is getting bad, and it's saying that the connection is getting weak. So hopefully you can still see me. But it causes an issue. Now, if this shuts down, I'm going to restart it, and I want you to come back. So hopefully you can still see me. But how many of you experience that right now? Can you see me and can you hear me? If you're experiencing what I'm talking about, let me hear you say, I know what you're talking about. Okay, I see a thumbs up. Yeah, he says, I didn't come to bring peace. I didn't come to just bring human togetherness. Because once there is a shift in your consciousness and your spirit, and I'm not just talking about you being a person reading the Bible and remembering scriptures and beating everybody up with it, because some people will read the Bible, just go beat up everybody up with it, and it's like, I got some new knowledge now, I'm just going to beat up everybody. But when you begin to just flow in this new energy, people feel it. People can sense something has happened to you. It's not a matter that you got rid of sin, but they know there is a control, there is a stableness, there is a stability that you're an experience. And after a while, it begins to shift in the family. It causes something in the family where people once saw you one way. After a while, you make them angry. And after a while, you begin to hear, you think you're something. After a while, you may not hear it right away. And it doesn't happen with everybody. It's just certain people who've pegged you in a certain place. And there is no pain like being pegged in. There is no pain like being pegged in and predictable. And when you begin to do things that's beyond the predictability that other people have labeled you, when you begin to live beyond that, it creates an anger. It's almost when John the Baptist was born. They said, the angel said, name the child John. Well, the descendants and ancestors and family and everyone says there is no one that has ever been named John in the family. That's something when you give a child a name and the whole family can say no one has never been called this ever. And it's funny when people can get used to a certain vein of your life to the point that when any new rhythm shift happens, you're not at the same place now. You're here. You're thinking this. It disturbs everyone. And before you know it, it's funny when they can say that this has never been done ever in your life. Why are you doing it now? After a while, people will kind of subtly want you to give up on your belief, because your belief is exposing them, is exposing their fear. And the word says that when they named this child John, that there was great fear that went across the family and across the land. And they said, what manner of child will this be? And what will he do? And some of you are in the same situation, where God is renaming you and calling you something else. I'm not talking about calling you prophet or apostle or evangelist, pastor, teacher, but in the atmosphere, he's called you something else and introduced you to another mind shift and another skill. And it's intimidating the family, and they're saying, we've never done this. Married couples are talking, and they're saying, you never did that when we got married. Why you start now? To the point you don't know if you're going to be able to keep your marriage. You don't know if your marriage is going to last, or if your job is going to last, or if your father still loves you, or your mother still loves you. All of a sudden, your friends and cousins and everybody are talking. Now, mama still let you come to the house and eat, but then they have questions for you now. What is this thing you're doing? Or what is this new thing now? It's causing issues to happen. Do we allow ourselves to really emulate what we believe? Or is this just bull? Is it just play? Is it just something that you read and get excited about, but you can't do it? Do you really do this? Or is this just scriptures that we read, and when something is stirred up, draw back now, just go back until it calm down. Just calm down. Is it really real? What are we trying to convince ourselves of? We talk about Jesus. We talk about what's happened. And a lot of the scriptures said he was strange. It says he doesn't talk like the authority. He doesn't talk like the scribes and the Pharisees. He speaks with an authority. Can we handle Jesus now in these Jesus rhetorics and these Jesus essences now? If he was here in body, he is. Can we really handle Jesus? Is the Jesus we talk about in Scripture, was that the actual man that was alive? Because some of us are walking in the same spirit of Christ, and you're being called a heretic, you're being called a threat, you're being called crazy, and it's causing a repercussion. It's a repercussion. Things are happening, and it's tearing up the family. And do you have the strength to stand up? Because this is a transformational repercussion that is establishing this thing within you. And is it really real? How many of you believe that this is really real? Do we live this out until someone gets angry and then we stop and then we have to recalibrate? Or do we keep going? Do we keep going, guys? I'm talking about our belief. I'm not talking about our interests. I'm not talking about buying another car that somebody didn't like or moving to another city that somebody didn't like. I mean, has your belief, has your thoughts, have your belief catapulted you into a new dimension where it's causing people to look and say, what's up? Is this calibration energy, this shifting where people are throwing things at you and angry at you, is it really real? I remember when I was going through my shift in life, I didn't know I was going to pay that kind of price, because you just don't know. Everybody pays a different price. And I remember that people that I loved and trusted all of a sudden stopped loving me and trusting me. And I remember when I questioned myself and I said, Undrai, are you going too far? After a while, I started looking at how my mother treated me. I loved her. She's been gone now for over 20 years, but I remember how she treated me. And I remember how she supported me if I needed money to pay my light bill or my rent or something, or a note. And you could borrow money from your mom and don't pay back, and it don't show up on your credit score. It just don't show up. And that was another bank I had outside of my other bank. But after a while, you begin to look at your beliefs and you say, if I go this far, I won't have that support to pay my phone bill. Can I coexist between the person that's paying my phone bill when I need it and my belief? Can I afford to anger the person who's paying my bill? Can I afford to anger the person who's supporting me somewhat? They might not agree with me, but they're giving me a little money. Can I afford to shake loose from them? Can I afford to anger my support? And sometimes when you move into a new dimension of faith and understanding and shifting with God, all of a sudden, hold on, my phone, I gotta hurry up because my phone's gonna go off. All of a sudden, your support starts speaking to you. It's not the devil, it's your bills talking to you. It's the money that they give you. It's the familiarity they give you. It's the comfort, it's the blanket that they give you. And after a while, you haven't seen what your beliefs is giving you yet, but you know what your past is giving you, and you're caught in this conundrum because you don't know what to do. How many of you know what I'm talking about? So we're at that point. Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace but a sword. I want to cut you away from your support. I want to cut you from what your old self used to drink, and I want to be the only thing you drink. And that's where Jesus becomes real to us. That's where he becomes someone more than the scriptures say. He becomes our life. He becomes it. And I remember the word says this, Jesus who is our life. He becomes our life. And I think that's the edge that we're on, that our beliefs are finally becoming life. And it's not just something good to say for a conference, because we all could speak good for the conference. But when it's time to live your belief, he's going to talk to the people who fed you, the people who fed who you used to be, because you're not that anymore. Is this really real? I just want to know. Is it real? I believe so. Yeah, we're living in a dangerous situation right now because he's cutting off love. People that love us. Some people want to love you till you stay the way you used to be. Not just in sin, but remain the energy that I could survive with. And I can't. Because my belief is changing my energy, and it's making people around me mad. It's shifting my routine. It's shifting where I go. It's shifting how I think. I'm not weak no more. You can't just keep me there no more. Is this the Jesus that we want to be like? Is this the one we want to be like?